I'll teeter tot with your tater tot. Um, oh, that's serenading, all right. Um, you know, as a former retired rapper, um, I sound like one of those people where it's like, I made the decision to walk away. It's like I feel like the industry did, but there's this fascinating rap battle out there with this lady. And sometimes these two ladies, it look like one of those frat type of, but they're like 29 and they're not in college, but they're dressed like they're in frat. I think that's what it's called, fraternity. I don't know why I say frat. Frat sounds very sounds very naive. Fraternity sounds like it's like, oh, we're part of a social club. It's like when you go to those social lounges where it's like you gotta have a dress code, and then you get in there and you're like, the suits cost more than the food. I don't know, should the clothes you're wearing cost more than what you're about to pay to eat? It's a weird thing, right? I guess that's kind of like the standard. If the food costs more than the shirt you're wearing, you're not to dress code. But yeah, so this lady, and probably like 2/3 through the rap battle, she's obviously shitting the bed, but in an hilarious way. And she says, and I quote, "You better get your tater tot to the playground before she teeter tots." And let's just say she was missing some crispiness to that bar. No matter how many times, sometimes you get some tater tots from a restaurant and it's just like, man, it's a little soggy. And then you ask them to, put it, make it more crispy. And then like once you reheat something, once you put something back in the greaser, once it's aired out, it's just not the same. It's like, there's no coming back. Just make me a new batch. It's one of the things, just like scrap the whole human being in this. It's one of those rap battles where it's so bad, but it's so enjoyable that when she says something that doesn't suck, you're like, it's like, wow, like you're almost like impressed. Like it was like when J. Cole said, "Hot dog, catch up to me." Couldn't resist. It's like when he said that bar, that's when I knew the guy's a legend. And when she said, "You better take your tater tot to the teeter tot," that's when I knew she's a motherfucking legend. Yep, that is what we talk about on this show. But yeah, moral of the story is, sometimes just accept the first serving you're given in life, it's like I never send back food. You can't send back a bad rap. You can't send back a bad line. It's already out there. Like, it already changed the whole experience. It's like when someone messes up mid-rap, you can't just be like, "Hold on, guys, let me restart." Like, it changes the whole mood. You could restart and be like, "Oh, okay, I see what you're trying to do." It's like, no, but it kills like the whole like, "Oh, damn," It's like once you mess up my food the first time, it changes my whole experience. It doesn't mean I'm going to complain or something like that, but it's just like, this is it doesn't, like, it's hard to, you're not going to get the full 10 out of 10 experience. Like, a 10 out of 10 experience of an experience is not flawless, but a very purposeful, smooth trajectory. Like, oh, these people have a good idea of what they're trying to do here. But when they spill, 6 sweet teas on your brother's lap, and that's why, I will say this, I haven't eaten these, people say it's not real Mexican food, whatever the fuck that means. They all have combination number 7 with an enchilada, fried rice, and all this stuff. Or not fried rice, but, Mexican rice, which is kind of weird. They call it Mexican rice at a Mexican restaurant. Why do you need to specify that it's Mexican rice? I'm at a Mexican restaurant. I don't need you to specify that it's Mexican. You know, it's almost like to reiterate, this is a Mexican restaurant. It's like, yes, none of the waiters speak English. Trust me, I know it is, and I like it. You know, I like going to those restaurants where you just point to the item when there's that barrier, or when you can't pronounce something, so you're just one of those idiot people like this, and then they always bring out the item that was below where you pointed because your fingers are a little disjointed, and the items are always so close together on the menu. Yeah. I guess I am a Windows shopper because when they're mad at me, I think I know why. But yeah. But yeah, that's the thing. Like, once you, like, if I order, like, all Mexican, I don't want, all American Mexican restaurants, anytime it starts with a la, los, or el, you know, I think they're called the sub-pronouns. That's not what they're called. I don't have my Spanish folder with me to cheat on the test. That's how dumb we are in America. We have a fucking folder. There's like, you start a sentence with this part, then the diagram of this part, and then we still have people that can't pass Spanish. And yeah, Spanish flu, and boy, this opening was like the Spanish flu because it blew right over. Whew. I did not drink enough Magic Mind before this show, I can tell you that. But yeah, no, these Mexican restaurants, they're all the same. They all have the combination platters that are between $8 to $10. It's always got rice, beans. You always substitute the beans, enchilada. You know, either a couple crunchy tacos or some tostada, chimichanga. You know what? Like, honestly, now all this, the chimichanga, the tostadas, they're all just the same shit inside of a different shell. It's like there's literally no difference between a chimichanga and a burrito. It's got the same shit in it. It's just either the crust is just fluffier, crispier. It's just, it's like they say all Taco Bell, if you know, it's like all Taco Bell items. They never actually add any new like products. They just mix and match the products they already have in the store and make more different shit. Like, they actually have this triple stacker shit, where it's literally they fold a tortilla 3 different times, put like a thin layer of beef and cheese, if there's even beef in it, and like $2.29, you know. So maybe, you know, American Mexican food, there's never anything new. It is just recreation of what we already have. So, yeah. But hey, I'm a fan of the Latinas because of Sofia Vergara. Because I want a Modern Family. All right. God, but that kid in that show's kind of annoying. And, you know, it's kind of weird how it was just, like, openly, like, modern. They call it Modern Family, but really, it's like hey, they normalize the gold digging aspect of her part, which is kind of weird. They use her immigration status, her child, and it's just kind of like, hey. But you know what? I don't know. Yep. I'm just going to start the episode because I don't know what the fuck I'm talking about now. But yeah. Whew. All right. Meep meep. I got big toes, eh? Hey, big things, eh? All right. This is episode 260 of the Off Beat Podcast with Clint Nelson. I'm your host, Clint Nelson. Don't forget to like, follow, comment, subscribe, hit the notification bell. Most important, ladies and gentlemen, don't forget to suck some titties. And I just realized I was not looking in the camera for 92% of that whole opening. You know, maybe I'm on the spectrum, as they say. Well, regardless if you're on the spectrum, off the spectrum, you know, talk about people on the spectrum, make fun of people on the spectrum. one thing that everyone who is on this spectrum we call life should do is they should be drinking Magic Mind every fucking day. Well, at least enough to replace your other caffeinated products out here. So yes, the sponsor of today's episode is Magic Mind. As you guys know, Magic Mind has been a part of the program for a very short period of time, but a very healthy period of time. And I don't know if also you guys know, but I actually have a sponsor with them. As I already said, Jesus, I'm all over the place. I only drank one shot of Magic Mind. I should have drank the fucking whole 6-pack. But yes, the ingredients we have in Magic Mind, they're all natural. We have matcha, bacopa, maniri, ashwagandha. Ashwagandha to make a one wish. Oh, it's a fairly odd apparently that I'm struggling right now. Also have rhodiola rosea. Whoa, hey, it says it's a herbal breakthrough. Mental clarity reduces fatigue and anxiety, increases your body resistance to stress. Well, they need to put a little bit more of that in there to help me out. We got lion's mane mushroom, the fluffiest mushroom out there. Why is that the first? I'm not trying to. The fluffiest mushroom? Why the fuck do I care if it's a fluffy mushroom? Cordyceps mushrooms. Not the one from The Last of Us. I never saw Last of Us, but if it's referencing Last of Us, then it's probably The Last of Us. But a powerful one, nothing less. Yeah, probably not the best selling point. So I guess stick to the lion's mane mushroom, the fluffiest mushroom. Looking like Toad's head on Mario Kart, the fluffiest mushroom. I don't know why. Oh, fluffy. I'm not trying to laugh during the ad read, but Jesus Christ, the fluffiest mushroom. Anyways, you can fluff my mushroom by using my discount code. I'll have all the link below the episode description. Go to magicmind.com. All right, guys. I'm serious. The link, it'll all be under. It'll be pretty set out. Go to www.magicmind.com/oftenbw. The link will be below. And most importantly, get up to 56% off your subscription for the next 10 days with my code OFFENBEAT20. OFFNBEAT20. The code is OFFNBEAT20. All right, guys. All the link and stuff, and go get your fluffy mushroom in a small nootropic shot. A really good potent one. It replaces, all those energy drinks, those coffees, and all that shit. You don't need to buy herbs and supplements. You just need Magic Mind. You get your ashwagandha, shenanda. You get your fluffy mushrooms, all in a nice, smooth shot. It gets to the point. It's potent. You don't need to drink these 85-liter green smoothies that just make you want to, shit on your cat. No. Magic Mind. Just, the link and stuff's below. All right. You get the jizzaboo. All right. Now back to the show. And that's how we transition back to the show. Snap. Oh, yep. Snap. Back to reality. Oh, there goes my sponsorship. Yeah. All right, guys. All right. Back to the shits and jizz. All right. Welcome to episode 260 off of with Clint Nelson. I'm your host, Clint Nelson. Over at live.com. Subscribe to the notification bell. Most support, ladies and gentlemen. Don't forget to suck some titties. And yep. I love me some Skrrt steak, because when I drift in Tokyo, I say Skrrt. I see you're under your skirt because of Japanese culture. Yeah. Cough it up, baby. Did you know that you can eat toads? Did you know that salamanders get killed on Australian roads? It's weird how we name things like roadkill when in reality it wasn't the road that killed them. It was an object that used the road. That used the compactness of the road to kill them. Like, we wouldn't blame, if someone was a murderer, right? If someone went around and killed someone with a machete, they wouldn't say the machete killed them. No, they wouldn't say, machete kill. They'd be like, no, Phil killed, fill in the blanks. And, boy, Will Smith is feeling like roadkill these days. But you know what they say about Will Smith? Once she steps out, you step in to help her step out again. Don't forget your coat, because it is drifty. It is drizzy. And I ain't talking about sea drizzy. I'm talking about drizzy. All right. Yep. In the studio. She got a studio hand slapping bass like Blink 182 because of all the small things. But really, it's all about the big things, eh? Imagine blinking 182 times in a day. That would actually be very troubling. That would literally be once every what? I don't even want to do the math. It's probably like once every 8 minutes or some shit. It's probably actually not even that hard to only blink 182 times in a day. But, I wonder what happens more. People blinking in a traumatic event, or people not using their blinkers. Blinker, dinker. And boy, when she told me she didn't love me, my heart sinkered. Kinky. Binky. We had a little baby. And now all she does is drinky to, regret having a child with me. That's how it be, though, You got to understand that no one wants to be a happy mother or father. We all just want to have our children, throw them out in the wind, accidentally have them roll down a hill and be like, I don't know what happened, and then blame the daycare service that someone inappropriately touched their child. It's like, it's literally your stepbrother. You knew he was a pedophile. Like, what are we talking about here? But that's the thing, as Drake would say, keep the family closer. All my let's just be friends. I've never had someone say let's just be friends, though. I've had people say let's be friends. But I've never heard someone say let's just be friends. Because you know what? If someone says let's be friends, I'm assuming they only mean to be a friend. Unless, you say he's just a friend. There's a big controversy. Whose version is better? The original? I think by Biz Markie or Mario? And Luigi? No. AI is going to do some cover of every Mario song. The actual artist Mario. And then have Luigi be like the voiceover. Kind of like when they used to do Chipmunks. Every song would be a Chipmunk song. It'd be like these wild extreme metal songs. Like, I hate. It'd be them covering like 3 Days Grace and Fall Out Boy. And sometimes Through the Fire and Flames, as I'm walking through this episode and my feet are getting burned by the wet, slippery coal. And they say slippery when wet. I say, bet. Oh, Jesus. But you know, Pizza Hut, it's closing down all over the place. I guess they couldn't stuff enough crust out of our pockets. Uh, yeah, but you know, pizza prices going all over the world. They're going through the roof. Roof company. Imagine climbing up on a roof like you're a State Farm agent, where your job is to tell someone after their house got completely destroyed, their shingles got completely destroyed by natural disaster or crazy weather, and you have to go up there with a straight face and lie to them and be like, hey, this could have been prevented. And you're like, what was I supposed to do? Put a bubble around my house? And they're like, well, you should have, got better shingles ahead of time. This was preventable. It's like, yeah, but then when I filed the insurance claim to replace my shingles 6 months ago, you guys said you wouldn't cover. It's like, yeah, but now we're really not going to cover. But like a good neighbor, State Farm is there to take your money. Because that's what good neighbors do. We just take hundreds and hundreds, sometimes in some families' cases, thousands of dollars a month when you add your insurances all together. Yep, insurance isn't a scam at all. It's just in case, If insurance was about the people, it wouldn't be a profitable business. If it was really about protecting you. See, that's all they do. It's like, hey, if you don't have it and something happens, your life will be fucked up. The fact that everything's set up that if you don't have this third-party insurance that quote-unquote covers something, you're fucked. But that's more of like when you go online and there are these heroic stories of people raising money for when someone can't pay their medical bills, and they have like these 9-year-olds like doing fundraisers to fund a classmate's cancer diagnosis because treatment is so insanely high priced. And then the National Health of Medical or Medicine will post these inspiring stories like, oh, to help their classmate get the proper treatment they need, they raise a GoFundMe and fundraisers and all this shit, thinking they're saying something. Really, all you're admitting is that you guys have fucked up the health service and the healthcare so much by charging an exorbitant amount of money for no fucking reason that people have to take money out of their own pockets, create their own resources because you as a big corporation who is supposed to be there to help people and make things affordable for dire situations. Somehow the insurance doesn't really want to work then. But you know what? What do I know? I just get it fucked in the ass for $70 a month anyways. Just to not really cover shit. But if you don't have it, you're a problem. People look at you like you're fucking like, what are you doing? You're not taking health insurance? It's like, you still have to pay out of the ass even when you go to the fucking doctor anyways. Like, oh, you got health insurance? That's great. It's like, great. I have to pay $2,000 just to get seen for this extreme situation that happens. Like, yeah, but you would have to pay $5,000 without it. It's like, yeah. But over the past year, I've given you guys about $4,000 anyways. So it doesn't really fucking matter now, does it? I know it sounds like I'm being a crumpet right now, but I like a good crumpet. A little apple strudel. Because you take a bite out of it and it's crumbly, like the breadcrumbs you left behind for the lack of vacuuming you do in your life. Wow. Jazzy Jeff. You my best friend until they say, who's Steph Curry? Because I be raining 3s out of 10s all over the place. That's a weird brag. Would you rather be dating 15 women at the same time, but they all be 3s, or date 110? You'd be surprised what the answer would be for a lot of guys. These polygamy sister wives. Wait, I think I already talked about that. But you know what? Gotta love these sister wives. It's kind of weird they call them sister wives, because when they all have a kid by the same guy, it's weird. Because it's like they're all just stepsisters. They should really just be stepsister wives. Because by default, when they have kids, if they all have a kid by the guy, all their daughters, if they were all 7 to have daughters, they would just be stepdaughters. I think that's how that works. So, but I guess that don't roll off the tongue. Stepdaughter wives. You know, nothing wrong with being a stepdaughter. I mean, I would rather be a stepson than a stepdaughter. Like, you know, stepson has potential. Like, there are very little instances of someone treating their stepdaughter, you know, like their own. And typically, honestly, it resorts in some, you know, inappropriate touching. There's nothing to laugh about, but hey, stats are the stats. Numbers don't lie. Creepy men who, you know, couldn't create their own children typically find women who are desperate for their financial services when they have children. And they're like, oh, I'll be the savior. I'll love you like, I'll love her like she's mine. Which is always a weird statement when someone says, I'm going to love your child like it's mine. It's like, I mean, you don't have to, you know. If I had a kid, right, and I was in a situation where I was, you know, meeting people and stuff and introducing a one, like, I would not say you got to love my child like it's yours. I would assume that if you came into my life and understood the gravity of my kid being in your life, you would treat my child, you know, like you love them, you know, which is weird how, like, that's a weird trade-off you'd have to make. Because what if you love someone, but you don't like their child, right? Is that a make or break thing, right? Now, it's weird if you actually had a kid with someone and you hated your child. Like, I don't know what to do there, man. Because you're basically hating half of yourself. Which, you know, a lot of people do hate themselves. So if you hate yourself, how can you love a version that reminds you of yourself? Damn. That's actually pretty fucked up. And I hate when people joke around about how they hate themselves. Like you don't really hate yourself. You just hate everything about yourself. But you don't hate yourself, you know. It's two different things. But if you volunteer, like, that's the thing when you meet people, if you're dating and taking on that being a stepfather or stepmother thing, you know, all the power to you. You know, it's a very noble gesture. But I also think some people take it on for brownie points and they use that as leverage in situations like, oh, when I met you, you and your kid were in a homeless shelter. And you're like, you were there too. Why were you in a homeless shelter with us? People always forget the part that they were in when they meet you, you know. If you're the guy and you're seeking out, you know, love or something, and you meet someone in a homeless shelter, it's like, you were there too for a reason. Even if you weren't volunteering to be in a homeless shelter, that, you know, help the community feedback. You obviously, it's not like you didn't know the situation, you know. You went out of your way to be like, hey, I'll take care of you. Out of the 800 people in that shelter, you decided to just take care of 1-2 people. You tell me who's really the one that's about giving back. Maybe you volunteer for that homeless shelter just so you could finally find the love of your life. Because that's how down you were in your life, you know. I don't know, man. It's weird. People like, I hate that term. I'm gonna treat your child like it's mine. It's like, if someone said that to me, I would be like, actually, no, please don't. Because you know what? I don't like the way you treat yourself. Don't treat my child like it's yours. Because I don't feel like you would treat your child that well. Treat my child better than, you know, I would treat my child. Which is impossible, you know. It's going to be impossible. But, you know, fill in the blanks when I'm not around. And, just don't inappropriately touch my child, and we'll probably be on good terms, Is that really too much to ask for these days? That's one thing, like, daycare, pre-care. I hate when they have, like, the pre-K to the pre-K. Now they're just creating fucking grades. And honestly, like, after seeing all these stories about, and there was one in Georgia, honestly, where there was a daycare with some guy. I mean, it happens all the time, but, like, it was ran by the mother. Her son was in charge, and they all knew about his incidents with children there for months and months to years, I think, potentially. And it finally got exposed. And then they went on the fire because they were aware of it and didn't do nothing about it, kept under wraps type of thing. It just makes you like, at least public school I'm not paying for. If some shit happens at public school where they don't give a shit about them, so be it. But I'm not going to pay $400 a week just for some bad, like, my kid's better off just, fucking being at work with me. When I was younger, I used to go to my mom with her to her jobs to save money, during the summer or, after school, wherever she worked at the time. We just sit in the lobby. Yeah, we were one of those kids. But you know what? We knew how to behave. Or like when you go to these Chinese takeout places and they have their kids there all day. And these like 10-year-old kids are taking your order. Like, damn. And then we have people, who are getting paid for their jobs complain when someone has audacity go up to a register and be like, give me a minute. You're like, you literally have no orders. Get off your fucking phone. And then I have these 10-year-old kids at these Chinese takeout places where their parents are there every fucking day. It is just them. The kids are there cleaning the lobby, cleaning the bathroom, doing homework, all this shit. And then, doing activities as brothers. And they're there taking your order when they're short-staffed. And we got, 27-year-old bums out here that want to complain when someone asks them or when they are actually required to do their job. It's the fucking craziest thing ever, man. We got these 10-year-olds taking my order, I know it's on. I mean, it's contributed to the household, but damn, that's what it's about. Creating a business where you use your kid as free labor. That's what it's all about in America. That's why, if I had a kid that was old enough to do, editing for my show, yeah, I would pay him to do it. You fucking kidding me? Yeah, of course I have him do it. It's like, you know what? You don't have to go to school. Fuck school. If you just work with me on what I want to do, and you learn some skill sets, you know what? Fuck them kids at school. You know what? In that whole like worry thing of like, oh, if you don't take your kids to school, they're not going to be good at socially. They're not. It's like, you know what? 90% of kids that come out of these schools anyways can't talk worth the shit anyways. And so, you know what? You can always go do social things with your kids. I don't know. Take them to a bookstore. I know it's a weird place to socialize, but, people talk in bookstores. People go to Barnes & Noble, Second and Charles. You got to take your kids to actual public events and make them interact with kids, Like, back in the day, Chuck E. Cheese was the place, which, by the way, they serve alcohol. I don't blame them. Now, I'm not surprised they didn't serve it earlier, I don't think when Chuck E. Cheese when it was in its prime, they needed alcohol way before. See, they served alcohol way too late. They could have saved the business a long time ago. They would have served alcohol when they had the kid parties. It'd be like, this whole table's getting drunk. All the kids over there on the playground, shitting on the slides. But yeah, Chucky, man, he definitely looks like a mascot that you would see be getting into like an actual fight. Like, we see these mascots to be like getting to actual like scraps. Like it feels like the guy they always hire for Chucky is always ready to scrap. Like one wrong move, he's fed up with some kids, pulling his tail, kicking him, or be like, "Hey, mom," he's just ready to just smack someone. It's on site with Chucky. But I don't know, what would be more scary? Seeing Chucky getting angry or seeing the doll Chucky come to life? I don't know if dolls can be possessed, but hey, doll. I don't know why they try to make that scene in Space Jam with Lola so sensual for the kids. Like, see me, doll. And then she like flips her little bunny hair, and then Daffy Duck's like, Snikeeth. And then Bugs like, gets droopy eyed, and all the other characters are like, It's almost like she was the Brittany Renner of Space Jam. She was just trying to trap some people. She has some bunny buns. That might be the episode title, because I don't know what the fuck I'm talking about this episode. Bunny buns. Yeah. Yeah. I think it's February. So which means, Super Bowl month. But more importantly, Groundhog. Apparently the Groundhog tells how long winter will last, which is one of the dumbest fucking things we have come up with in society. The fact that we actually, here's the thing, right? It's one thing like Christmas, all that stuff. Like, the Santa's, like, believing that is one thing. I still believe in Santa, just in case he does exist. I will go to my grave saying Santa's real. I will just be showing my kid the Santa tracker. And it could be, I could be 48 years old and be like, son, Santa's in St. Louis right now. Go to fucking bed, I would probably make up some myths where it's like, for 2 months, you have to go to bed on time for 2 months straight if you want your presents. Just so I can have fucking time to myself and lie to my kid. You want these fucking presents? Go to bed at 9 o'clock. You sack of shit. I hope people don't think that's how I would talk to my kid. At least not on purpose. When I get angry. Anyone can get this verbal abuse. I'm kidding. It's not verbal abuse. It is just anger. Anger is not the worst thing in the world. It's all about how you respond and how you channel it. But yeah. Shit, what the fuck was I getting on about? You got to get on to get on. More like you got to get off to get her off. Jesus. But yeah. Oh yeah, Groundhog. The fucking Groundhog. It's so fucking dumb how we actually believe that, hey, if the groundhog comes from underground, if you see the groundhog, like anyone knows what the actual groundhog looks like. Like there's not a groundhog that's tagged. They like tag sharks that track them. We're not out here tagging the groundhog to see where he's at so we can track if he pops out on February 1st to see if it's going to be colder for a few more weeks. Like I didn't know a groundhog affected the Earth's axis of how the winter solstice works. I didn't know that. Apparently a groundhog, this furry buck teeth looking motherfucker on Earth dictates how much longer winter's gonna be. That is the type of society we live in. That it's beyond just goal. We just love the fact of stories, and people want to shit on Greek myths and mythology. Yet, you believe in astrology and Greek myths and all this stuff. And you know what? All of that stuff is kind of corny. But these are the same people that are watching the news like, hey, honey, the groundhog came out. Got an extra 2 weeks of 35 degrees out here. Like Like, you know, I want to get a pet groundhog. I'm going to plant a pet groundhog out here. And I'm just going to, like, have them scatter around and fuck up the whole, like, solstice, you know. Fuck up the whole weather. Fuck up the whole climate we got going on. The fact that we have meteorologists out here. Like, real, like, well, hey, what's going to be weather next week? Well, we got to see if the groundhog pops out, you know. Oh, I'm a humble guy though. Very humble guy. Cause you know what? If I wasn't humble, I would be out there smack-a-dab-a-doo. I really want to get into fighting. Not like random scrap fight. Like actually like a trained fighting discipline. I don't know if it's... I don't think boxing would be my thing. But then again, it might be. I don't know. Would I want to do like... I think jiu-jitsu is kind of too trendy. And I don't want to be like, I'm not going to do something because it's trendy. I think it's a cool thing to learn, but I really don't want to sit there and be grappling. Like, I know myself. Here's the thing. When you have a lot of built up anger in you, someone strangling your shoulder out of place is just going to make you lose your shit. And it's a lot harder to tolerate you getting pinned down by another grown man. Because when you're inexperienced with this shit, you're going to be humbled when you go to these classes and these trained professionals are going to remind you, you don't know shit, right? Boxing is one of those things, like, you kind of understand, like, there are people that are trained better than you. And it's a lot easier to process getting punched in the face and getting punched in the body. Like, you know, like, okay. Like, you understand the feeling. You at least feel like you have a potential comeback to something. Like, you have some general knowledge of, like, just reacting, seeing what you're seeing. Like, when you're just on the ground, getting your quads, what is it called, like, King Cobra'd, getting suplexed around, and you're just in this position where you can't move, and if you move a certain way, your whole body's going to be cut in half. Like, you know, there's something about that that's just like, you know what? It's probably more beneficial to real life fighting or just real life, like, discipline. But, you know, I just feel like boxing would probably be a lot more fun. It'd be fun to just knock someone out for no reason. Like, and then again, you might get knocked out. You'll be looking like one of those leaked footage of when they do the Creed movies of, I think it was the first one when it was leaked out when Michael B. Jordan got knocked out in sparring or whatever. And it's like, well, yeah, he's training with professionals, and sometimes the way to get better is you have to actually, you know, at least emulate a fight so you at least look the part, you know. And people are like, oh, we got knocked out. It's like, literally every boxer in the history that's ever boxed has been knocked out, whether it's been on a public stage, private, whether it's been a long time or not. Every boxer has been knocked out. So people always like overreact. People are obsessed with seeing people just get knocked out. Like, oh, like it's a sad tale. It's like, literally, it's like, it's part of the sport. It's like playing baseball and striking out. It's like playing football and fumbling or throwing an interception or throwing an interception to end the season in the playoff game. Like, if you play long enough, it's going to happen. It's part of the process. Kind of like cheese. Smile, bitch. If I was a photographer, that's why I'd be like, all right, smile, bitch. And they'd be like, what? Psh, got him. So you get an actual real reaction, not this phony, where they're like stretching their lips so far out that their side lips are bleeding because no one puts chapstick on anymore these days. But yeah. Cheese Louise. Oh, this reminds me of one of those old Often Be episodes where It's just one thing after another. I didn't have a real purpose of talking about anything this episode, but sometimes you need those episodes, where it's just like, I don't have to talk about a topic that's not there to talk about. I just say shit. Sometimes it's okay just to say shit. You don't have to mean it. You don't have to have some deep understanding, some deep discovery, some deep withinness. Intuitive. It's probably intuitive, but I want to make it withinness, like within you, but like within this body. We have sexy time. As R. Kelly would say, I'm gonna spend a little sex time with you. And after that, we wake up everybody. Every coming home. Yeah, we all, that's the thing, we have this obsession with prison culture, It's always weird, people that don't have to experiences of that environment. It always seems like there's this obsession with wanting to know how prison actually works, which I guess is a good knowledge if it makes you prevent from going to prison, But, once you make some money, you're going to do some tax shit. You're going to be in prison. It is what it is. Everyone that says I would never go to prison, I would never hide my money, I would never do that. Anytime they get some money, all of a sudden it's like, hey, you kind of didn't file like $4 million that you made. What's going on here? And they're just like, it was a write-off. It was this. It's like, no, it wasn't. It was pretty, it was pretty deliberate. You try to hide it. Like, you're not that good at hiding this money. I hope you know that. Like, this basically the IRS is just like, hey, you're not as good at hiding this money as you think you are. And they will get you for that shit. I think it's the Todd Chrisley, Savannah Chrisley, Jesus Chrisley. It was this reality show where the guy got like lip fillers. Had a family. He seemed like he was a good dad overall. They were very all about appearance, vanity, about, in a good way, like manners and like people with respect, very religious, and, not in an over the top way. But, actually seemed like they meant well of actually like generational wealth, teaching values and all that good stuff, even with money. And then it's like they had these tax situations and legal money situations. Also, now he's in prison. He's probably having a time in prison. I don't know how else to put it. But yeah, it's one of those things. It's hard to say, like, what would make someone, accidents can happen where it's like filing your taxes can be a pain in the ass, especially when you have so many different sources of income. It can get kind of confusing. I know, first world problems. But it's like, like if I was Joe Rogan, I would, hey, look, he's got money come from like 9 different places, which apparently he signed a new deal for up to $250 million, except now it's not exclusive with Spotify, but it keeps it on Spotify. But now he could post everything back on everything else, like YouTube, probably Apple Podcasts, or wherever, any podcasting service. Mainly the YouTube part's the most important part, because you still get a major bank. But he has that, plus sponsors, plus when he puts on YouTube, as long as it doesn't get demonetized, making money off of that. Then he does his stand-ups. Then he does all this other shit, that products, his companies. Like, that's what it's all about, you know. And everything he does, it's something he enjoys. And I think that's the most important part. It's like, that's the perfect life. You know, he has a wife, he has kids, and he has the most like perfect life from a financial standpoint where he doesn't have to worry about like he has some like he can just do what he wants and he makes more money just by doing what he wants. So even if he spends X amount, he's gonna make 8X of that back anyways. You know, he owns a comedy club, and I like, you know, that's amazing. It's not about making that much money. It really is just about making a living doing all the things that is true to you and you enjoy loving. And not like having to do like, oh, I do this I like, but I have to do this other thing that I don't give two shits about, but it's necessity to do this one thing. It's like, the dude just does all the things he wants to do because he's curated that life for himself. But people also don't realize the dude's like 56 years old. And so like, it didn't just happen when he had success at, you know, late 20s doing this, 30s, but people don't realize like after Fear Factor, yeah, he had money and stuff, but he was starting podcasting from scratch, you know, getting like 200 plays an episode, blah, blah, when it was like in its infancy. And that was like, what, in his 40s? Like when he was 40, like early to mid 40s, like. So he hasn't really seen this type of money till at least like, let's just say the last 6 years when the podcast really just hit a new level. So it's like the dude didn't really start getting this like crazy generational holy shit type of wealth till literally almost 50 years old, at the earliest late 40s. So that's what people don't like. That's why I like don't just worrying about how much money you have all the time and like what it's all about. It's like, if you do what you enjoy, you get so good at it. If you do something long enough, you will automatically just be good at it, better or worse. And everything will curate to where it needs to be. So you don't have to worry about all that stuff. But yeah. And, you know, waiting for my, you know, $1 million deal. But yeah. Hey. But, you know, it was funny. I think it was like weeks ago. Spotify like laid off like 160 employees. Which I don't know what 160 employees. Chances are, like, what are y'all really doing at Spotify all day? Like, just reviewing his episodes. Like, you're not reviewing every single episode, every single music that gets put out there. Like, I don't know what you guys do. And when they laid off, people are like, oh, this is the end of Spotify. Really, they just laid off all these people so they could pay him. And that's a weird position to be in when companies are paying you so much money. And in result of that, a lot of times other people have to lose their jobs so you can get them. It's like, you know that you're the reason keeping this that's elevate this company. And I think he gets like 10% stake of revenue. Holy shit. I think, whoo. Yeah, that's probably like, whoo. You know, he just might own the bitch one day. Who knows? But yeah. Congrats to the boy, as we're calling a 56-year-old man a boy. But, you know, he's literally double my age. When I'm 56, I'm going to have some of that money. It's crazy how he never had a son. He has daughters, but he's never had a son. You know, they do say, like, the crazy higher, like, your testosterone and shit, for some reason, you could be more likely to have a girl, as weird as that may sound. I think it could work in the opposite. It's very varied on your genes and shit like that, but it's like, you think, like, if he would have had a son, would be having a little Joe Rogan, like a 7-year-old just jujitsuing kids in class for saying some shit about his dad. Oh, your dad hates it. What the fuck? Strangling some kid, leg kicking them. It's like, have you seen my dad? All he has to do, pub of it. This is my dad leg kicking. And it's just a bullet fucking hitting this big ass bag. It's like, and I trained with him. So, fuck with me, you know. But yeah. Alright. I think that's the end of this episode. But yeah. I don't know. Bunny buns. But yeah. Alright, guys. That was episode 260 of the Offbeat Podcast with Clint Nelson. I'm your host, Clint Nelson. Don't forget to like, follow, comment, subscribe, hit the notification bell. Most for ladies and gentlemen. Don't forget to suck some titties. Yeet. Yeah, sexy time. Cause that's how you get it going. Burp in her face. Like a baby. Oh, it's cute when a baby burps in your face, but not me, huh? I talk about babies I talk about kids, having kids way too much for someone that doesn't have any. Oh, the idea is fun. Alright. Have a great day, evening, morning. Groundhog Day, whatever the fuck you celebrate. Alright. Meet.